Whispers Beneath the Soil, Part 1. The Gravedigger's Secret, The road to Grey Hill stretched long and empty, beneath a colorless sky. The sun was setting behind the hills, its faint orange light swallowed by the thick mist rising from the valley below. On the horizon, an old sign leaned crooked beside the road, Grey Hill Cemetery, established 1832. Olin slowed the van, squinting through the dirty windshield. The words were half-faded, but still legible enough to make the three of them exchange uneasy glances. Mahi broke the silence first. Man, this looks straight out of a horror movie. Olin grinned, his hands tightening on the steering wheel. That's the point. In the back seat, Maria looked out the window, sketchbook open in her lap. Her pencil moved quietly, tracing the outline of the road, the sign, and the silhouettes of bare trees twisting against the dim sky. It feels wrong here, she said softly. Olin shot her a quick look in the rearview mirror. You always say that, because it always is, she murmured, eyes never leaving her sketch. The arrival they reached the cemetery gates just as the last light disappeared. The entrance was massive, 2 iron gates rusted into the color of dried blood, chained together with a heavy lock. On one of the stone pillars, moss had swallowed half the engraved words. Grey Hill Rest. Olin stepped out first, camera already in hand. Perfect. This place is alive, with atmosphere. Mahi groaned, stretching his arms. Alive? Bro, it's a cemetery. Everything here's dead. Exactly. Olin smiled. Dead people don't sue us for filming without permission. He aimed his camera toward the gates, adjusting focus as Maria stepped beside him. The wind moaned through the trees, carrying with it the faint smell of damp earth and something else, something sour and metallic. I think someone's here, Maria whispered suddenly. They froze. Olin turned, scanning the shadows. Where? There. She pointed toward the left side of the gate where a dim lantern flickered through the fog. A figure was standing there. The gravedigger the man looked like he had stepped out of another century. His coat was long and patched, his hat too wide for his head. His skin was grayish, weathered by time. He held the lantern low, its yellow glow reflecting in his pale eyes. You shouldn't be here, he said. But hollow-like it came from deep inside a tunnel. Olin took a cautious step forward. Hey, sorry. We're documentary filmmakers. Just shooting for one night. Is this your property? The man stared at him for a long moment before answering. It belongs to the dead. Mahi coughed, uncomfortable. Yeah, cool. But, is it okay if we film? No one films here, the man interrupted. Not after dark. Olin forced a laugh. Come on, man, you're not serious. The old man's eyes flicked to Maria. The soil remembers faces. Once you walk inside, it never forgets you. Maria's hand tightened around her sketchbook. Olin sighed, pulling out his permit papers. Look, we have permission from the county. It's just a historical piece. I promise we'll be gone before sunrise. The man looked at the papers, though it didn't seem like he could read them in the dim light. Finally, he stepped aside. If you go in, he said quietly, stay away from the chapel. Chapel. Olin asked, but the man didn't answer. He turned and disappeared behind the fog, his lantern swinging like a dying heartbeat. Inside Grey Hill Cemetery they climbed over the gate instead, the metal groaning under their weight. The air changed the moment they landed inside, colder, thicker, heavy, with a scent of earth and decay. Mahi shivered. Why do all graveyards smell like old metal? Because you're thinking about coffins, Olin said, adjusting his camera. Focus. We start with a wide shot. Maria pan light from left to right. When I say go, as they filmed, the wind whispered between the tombstones. Some were so old, the names had eroded into dust. Others looked freshly cleaned, though no one had lived nearby for years. Olin narrated softly, his voice calm and measured for the camera. Greater than Grey Hill Cemetery. Abandoned in 1962 after a fire destroyed half the town, no one knows who maintains the graves now, or why flowers still appear every morning. Mahi snorted behind the camera. Yeah, because ghost gardeners are a thing now. Asterisk, but Maria wasn't listening. She was staring at one grave, smaller than the rest, half sunk into the soil. The name was faint, but readable. Eleanor Cole, 1849 to 1857. Cole, she whispered. That was the caretaker's last name, right? Asterisk, Olin turned toward her. You're kidding. Asterisk, she shook her head. No, I think that man. He's her father. The camera light flickered once, then again, then it died. Whispers Mahi hit the side of the flashlight. Great dead battery already. Asterisk, it was full this morning, Olin muttered, checking his camera battery. It too was dropping fast. What the hell? Asterisk, Maria turned, her breath visible in the cold air. Do you hear that? They all froze. A sound drifted from the far side of the graveyard, soft, rhythmic, like a shovel digging into wet earth. Thump, scrape, thump, scrape. Someone's here, Olin whispered. Asterisk, they followed the sound carefully, stepping between broken stones and fallen branches, until they saw a shape kneeling by an open grave, the same old man he was digging. Asterisk, the lantern beside him burned low, almost blue in color. Each time he lifted the shovel, the ground seemed to move, like it was breathing. Asterisk, Mahi whispered, we should leave. Asterisk, Olin raised his camera. We're not leaving. This is incredible footage. But, as soon as he pressed record, the man stopped digging. He turned, his eyes glowing faintly in the darkness. Asterisk, I told you, he said slowly, the soil remembers. And then the ground beneath Maria's feet shifted. Asterisk. The unearthed hand. Asterisk, she gasped and stumbled backward as her foot sank into soft soil. Asterisk, something cold wrapped around her ankle. Asterisk, Olin dropped the camera and lunged forward, grabbing her arm. Mari, hold on. Asterisk, she screamed as a pale, mud-covered hand broke through the dirt, small, thin, like a child's. Asterisk, the old man's lantern flared suddenly, and in its light, they saw the truth. Asterisk, the grave he had been digging wasn't empty. It was full of moving soil, tiny hands pushing up from below, clutching at the air. Asterisk, the man shouted something in a language they couldn't understand, and the ground stilled. Then silence. Total, suffocating silence. Asterisk, he looked up at them, his face as pale as marble. Now you've done it, he whispered. Asterisk, Olin's voice trembled. What? What was that? Asterisk, the man lifted his lantern. You woke them? Asterisk, he turned and began walking toward the back of the cemetery. If you wish to live till morning, you'll follow me, and do not look back. The chapel. Asterisk, they followed him through the fog until they reached an old structure half swallowed by ivy. A chapel made of cracked stone and rotting wood. The windows were black, the door carved with symbols Olin didn't recognize. Asterisk, the old man stopped at the entrance. Inside, he said, Asterisk, Mahi hesitated. Dude, this looks worse than out there. Asterisk, the man's eyes darkened. Would you rather the earth take you? Olin pushed the door open. Inside, the air was thick with dust. Rows of wooden pews stood broken, and the altar at the front was covered in dried flowers and melted candles. A strange wooden box sat in the center of the floor, carved with initials E.C. Asterisk. Maria froze. Eleanor Cole. Asterisk, the man placed his lantern beside the box. My daughter, Asterisk, Olin blinked. Your Reverend Cole, Asterisk, he nodded slowly. Was. A long time ago. The shadows in the room seemed to pulse with each word he spoke. My daughter was taken when this town burned. They buried her here, but the fire cursed the ground. The souls of Grayhill never rested. Every few decades, the soil hungers again. Asterisk, Mahi swallowed hard. So what? They eat people now? Asterisk, Cole's eyes burned with sorrow. They take what's owed. Every grave dug open, every camera pointed their way, every whisper spoken of them, it feeds the curse. Asterisk, Olin stepped closer to the box. What's inside? Asterisk, don't touch it, Cole snapped. The box binds them. Break the seal, and you'll free the whispers. But curiosity is a dangerous thing. Olin's fingers brushed the box lid. Asterisk for a moment. Nothing happened. Asterisk then, from the floor beneath them, came the faintest sound, a whisper. Then another, dozens of them, whispering his name. Asterisk, greater than Olin. Olin. Asterisk, the floorboards trembled. The candles flickered to life one by one, lighting the chapel in a sickly yellow glow. "Run." The box split open with a sharp crack, and from within came a sound like the earth itself taking a breath. Part 2. Shadows between the stones. The sound that rose from the broken box wasn't human. It was deep and ancient, like the ground itself was sighing through 1,000 unseen mouths. Dust filled the air, candles flickered violently, and the shadows on the chapel walls seemed to twist into shapes that weren't their own. Olin stumbled backward, coughing camera still clutched in his shaking hands. "What the hell, what is that?" Reverend Cole grabbed him by the shoulder, shouting over the noise. "You shouldn't have touched it. The seal is broken." Mahi's flashlight flickered wildly as the wooden floor beneath them began to bulge upward, planks creaking as something moved beneath the boards. Maria stood frozen in front of the box, her sketchbook slipping from her fingers and falling open on the floor. On the open page. A drawing stared back the same chapel they were standing in, but surrounded by shadowy, faceless figures. Except she hadn't drawn those. Her breath came out in short, terrified gasps. "Olin, I didn't draw this." The air grew colder. The lantern light turned pale blue. And then the whispering began again, closer this time, as if dozens of unseen lips were pressed right against their ears. Greater than we remember. We remember. Cole raised his trembling hands toward the altar. "Get out, all of you." But Olin was already filming. His instincts as a documentarian, the hunger to capture truth, had overpowered fear. He zoomed in on the box as the lid split completely open, revealing nothing inside but dark soil and a single, small bone. Then, through the camera's viewfinder, he saw something the others didn't. A shape standing behind Reverend Cole. The thing in the light, it looked like a child, or at least the outline of one. A faint, smoky figure standing perfectly still in the candlelight. Her eyes were hollow circles, her dress torn and fading into mist. Olin's voice cracked. "There's someone behind you." Cole turned, just as the figure moved. The candles went out all at once. Total blackness swallowed them. "I can't see anything." "Where's the door?" A loud slam cut him off. The chapel door had shut by itself. Maria's voice came from somewhere near the altar. "She's here." Olin could barely breathe. "Who's here?" "Eleanor," she whispered. "The little girl." And then something small brushed past Olin's leg. He jumped back, fumbling for his flashlight. The moment the beam cut through the dark, he froze. Tiny handprints covered the inside of the chapel door. Pressed into the wood like burned shadows, escape into the graveyard. "Open it now," Mahi shouted. Cole rammed his shoulder against the door, wood splintering under his weight. With a final crack, it burst open, and cold night air rushed in. They spilled out into the fog, gasping. Behind them. The chapel groaned like a living thing. The roof tiles rattled. The lantern light inside turned blood-red. Olin turned to Cole, furious. "What the hell was that? What's happening here?" Cole leaned on his shovel, eyes hollow. "You've broken the silence." They were resting. Now, they will not stop until the earth takes something in return. "Who are they?" Maria asked. "The ones buried without names," he said quietly. "The forgotten." Mahi laughed nervously. "So, ghosts. Is that what you're saying?" Cole looked at him with pity. "Ghosts are memories. These are hungers." Olin raised the camera again, even as his hands trembled. "Then we get it on film. If this is real, people need to see." Cole's hand shot out and grabbed his arm. "You film them, and they will follow you home." Olin stared at him, torn between terror and fascination. "I can't just stop. This is proof. This is history." Cole's gaze was hard. "This is death, son." Before Olin could answer, Maria spoke again, her voice distant. "We're not alone." She was looking toward the rows of graves, where faint lights now shimmered between the stones. Bluish-white glows hovering just above the ground. Moving slowly, as if searching, Cole whispered, "They've awakened." The field of whispers. The fog thickened until it was hard to see more than a few feet ahead. The trio stayed close behind Cole, their footsteps muffled by the damp soil. Around them, the whispers grew louder. A chorus of soft, broken voices repeating fragments of words. Asterisk, cold, forgotten, mine, asterisk, stay. With us, asterisk. Olin's camera captured flashes, gravestones, roots, crosses, and for a brief moment, the reflection of something tall standing between the tombs. Something that moved like smoke, but cast a shadow on the ground. Asterisk. Mahi grabbed Olin's sleeve. We're leaving, man. I don't care what footage you have. We're done. Asterisk. But when they turned back toward the gate, it wasn't there. Asterisk. The fog had changed everything, the layout, the paths, even the graves themselves. It was as if the cemetery was rearranging itself. Asterisk. Cole's voice came sharp and urgent. Don't run. They feed on fear. Stay together. Asterisk. Maria clutched her sketchbook to her chest. I know where to go. Asterisk. What do you mean? Olin asked. Asterisk. I've seen this place before. Her voice trembled. In my dreams, there's a stone angel near the center. It's the only way out. Asterisk. Cole froze. You've dreamed of this place. Asterisk. She nodded slowly. For weeks. Asterisk. He looked horrified. Then, it's already chosen you. The angel. Asterisk. They reached the heart of the cemetery, where a huge angel statue stood. Wings broken, head bowed. The ground around it was sunken and uneven, as if something had been trying to claw its way out from beneath. Asterisk. Maria approached it, whispering, It's just like in my dream. Asterisk. Olin followed, camera still rolling. What happens next? Asterisk. She turned to him, her face pale. I die. Asterisk. Before anyone could react, the ground beneath the statue cracked open with a deep, wet sound. The earth split, revealing a hollow space below, a dark tunnel lined with bones. Asterisk. From the depths came the same whispering voices, louder now, almost frantic. Asterisk. Greater than she returns. She returns. Asterisk. Cole shouted, Get away from there. Asterisk. But Maria was staring into the hole, tears streaming down her face. It's her, Eleanor. She's calling me. Asterisk. Olin reached for her hand. Don't, Maria. Whatever's down there isn't your friend. Asterisk. I have to see, she said softly. She knows me. Asterisk. The soil around the statue began to rise and fall like a heartbeat. A cold wind whipped through the cemetery, carrying with it the faint sound of a child laughing, soft and echoing from everywhere at once. Asterisk. Mahi grabbed Olin. We're going, now. Asterisk. Cole raised his shovel, jamming it into the earth beside the statue. You can't stop her once she's been called, but maybe we can seal the path. Asterisk. He began muttering words under his breath, ancient and broken, as the wind howled. The angel's eyes began to glow faintly. Asterisk. Olin pulled Maria back. You're not going down there. But when he turned to face her, she wasn't there. The vanishing Asterisk. Maria, he shouted, spinning around. Maria. Only fog answered him. Her sketchbook lay open on the ground beside the angel. On the newest page was a fresh drawing, still wet with ink. It showed the three of them standing in the cemetery. Except in the drawing, Maria was already underground. Asterisk. Cole dropped to his knees, pressing his hand to the soil. She's gone. Asterisk. Mahi. What do you mean gone? She was right here. Asterisk. The ground took her, Cole said hoarsely. The soil hungered, and it chose. Asterisk. Olin's voice broke. Then we dig her out. Asterisk. He grabbed Cole's shovel and started to dig, ignoring the old man's shouts. But every time he scooped out a handful of dirt, more slid back in, thick, wet, endless. The whispering grew into screams. Asterisk. Greater than lever. She's ours. The fog darkened around them, turning nearly black. Cole grabbed his arm again. If you dig, you'll join her. Asterisk. Olin turned on him, furious, tears in his eyes. Then tell me how to get her back. Asterisk. Cole hesitated, then whispered, There's one way. The packed asterisk he led them toward, the far end of the cemetery where a row of crumbling tombs stood half buried in the hillside. One of them was sealed shut with iron chains, the door engraved with strange symbols. It looked older than the rest, older than the town itself. Asterisk. This is where it began, Cole said. The first grave. The root of the curse. Asterisk, what's in there? Mahi asked. Asterisk Cole looked at him, eyes hollow. The one they call the collector. It binds the lost souls here. If you open it, the dead will rise. But if you offer it a memory, it may trade. Asterisk Olin frowned. A memory. Asterisk a part of yourself, Cole said, something the dead can keep. Asterisk Olin's camera trembled in his hands. You're saying I can trade something from me? To get her back, Asterisk Cole nodded slowly, but the trade will cost you more than you think. Asterisk Mahi grabbed his shoulder. Bro, don't even think about it. This is insane, Asterisk. Olin's voice was barely a whisper. I can't leave her. Asterisk he turned to the tomb, the camera still running, and pressed his hand against the cold stone door. Asterisk, the chains rattled, the ground vibrated, and from inside came a single, childlike voice. Asterisk, greater than Olin. It was Maria's voice, his eyes filled with tears. I'm here, hold on. Asterisk Cole screamed, Don't answer her! That's not her. But it was too late. The door cracked open. Asterisk a wave of icy air burst out, carrying with it the sound of hundreds of whispering voices overlapping, crying, laughing, all calling the same word. Asterisk, greater than Olin. Asterisk, the camera fell from his hand and hit the ground, its lens capturing the faint outline of something emerging from the tomb, too thin, made of shadow and bone. Asterisk, and behind the static, the camera recorded one final whisper. Asterisk, greater than trade accepted.
Whispers Beneath the Soil, Part 4. The Dead Remember, Asterisk, Approx. 3,000 words, the night had fallen again over Gray Hill Cemetery, and the world seemed to shrink into shadows. Asterisk, the trees swayed under the slow pull of the wind, their branches groaning like old bones. The fog that rolled from the forest crept across the graves, covering the ground like a ghostly tide. Somewhere in the dark, something was moving slow, deliberate, listening. Asterisk Olin's flashlight flickered as he walked through the rows of headstones. His breath came in quick bursts, visible in the cold air. Behind him, Mahi stumbled, muttering curses under his breath. Asterisk man, this is insane. Mahi whispered. We should have left when Cole told us to. Asterisk Olin didn't answer. His eyes were locked on the distant chapel, the one they had found earlier that day. The wooden structure stood crooked, black against the fog. Like a wound in the night, Asterisk Maria followed a few steps behind, her sketchbook pressed to her chest. She hadn't spoken in hours. Her face was pale, her eyes distant. Every few seconds, she looked toward the ground as though she could hear something no one else could. Asterisk Olin. She finally murmured. They're not sleeping. Asterisk Olin stopped and turned toward her. What do you mean? Asterisk, her lips trembled. The dead. They're awake. Inside the chapel, the air was thick with the smell of damp earth and candle wax. The small wooden pews were covered in dust. The altar cracked with age. Asterisk Reverend Cole stood near the pulpit, staring at a faded painting of an angel on the back wall. The candle beside him burned low, dripping wax down the table like slow tears. Asterisk, you shouldn't have come back, he said, without looking at them. It's too late now. Asterisk Olin stepped forward. Reverend, we found the records in your office. There was a burial Haran unmarked pit. Hundreds of bodies. What happened? Asterisk Cole's shoulders stiffened. His voice trembled as he answered. Asterisk, the year was 1832. There was a sicknessa, fever that spread through Gray Hill faster than prayer could stop it. The church buried them here, together, in a single grave. They said it was mercy. Asterisk, he turned, his eyes hollow. But it wasn't mercy. It was murder. Asterisk Mahi frowned. Murder? What are you talking about? Asterisk Cole stepped closer, lowering his voice. The townspeople were sick, yes, but not dying fast enough. The priest back then, he made a pact. He wanted the land cleansed, purified. So he sealed them alive, buried them beneath the soil before they stopped breathing. Mahie's face drained of color. Jesus Christ. Golan's heart thudded in his chest. And the whispers. Cole looked toward Maria. They've been trying to speak ever since. They remember. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky. The air thickened, vibrating with something unseen. Maria walked slowly to the edge of the chapel, her hand brushing against the cold wall. Her eyes were unfocused, lost in another world. I've seen this before, she said softly. Olin turned toward her. When? In my dreams. Before we came here, she looked at him now, her voice trembling. Olin, I think I've been here before. Not in this life. Maybe another. Olin stared at her, unable to speak. Mahie shook his head. No. Don't start with that reincarnation crap. But Maria's eyes were wet. I remember the sound. The screaming, the dirt falling over my face. I was one of them. Cole stepped back, crossing himself. The curse is binding itself to the living now. You've awakened them completely. A loud crack echoed through the cemetery. The earth trembled beneath their feet. Dust fell from the chapel ceiling. Mahie spun around. What was that? Cole's candle blew out. Darkness swallowed them whole. For a moment, the only sound was breathing. Then came a whisper. Soft, wet, rising from the floorboards. Maria. She froze. Her fingers tightened around her sketchbook. Colin raised his flashlight and pointed it toward the floor. The wooden planks were moving, buckling upward, as if something was pushing from underneath. The beam caught a thin line of dirt falling through the cracks. Mahie stumbled backward. Oh no. Oh no. Hell no. The board split open. Hands gray, skeletal, covered in earth burst through the floor. 1, then 2, then a dozen. Fingers curled, clutching the air, clawing toward the light. Olin grabbed Maria's arm. Run. They bolted toward the door, but it slammed shut before they reached it. The sound echoed like thunder. The candlelight flared again on its own, illuminating dozens of faces pressing against the chapel windows from the outside, faces pale and twisted. Their eyes hollow and blacked out. Reverend Cole fell to his knees. Forgive us. Forgive us. But forgiveness didn't come. They fought to pry open the door. Olin slammed his shoulder into it, again and again, until the hinges snapped and they spilled out into the graveyard. The fog was alive, now moving like waves, filled with shapes that whispered and wept. Ma gasped for breath. What the hell do we do? Cole staggered after them. You have to finish the rite, he shouted. Seal the ground again before they cross over completely. Olin spun around. How? Cole pointed toward the far end of the graveyard, where an old stone circle stood half buried under vines. There. The binding circle. You'll find the altar beneath. But hurry before dawn breaks. Maria was trembling. If we seal them again, will they rest? Cole's eyes glistened. If we do it right. If they forgive us? The trio ran through the fog, guided only by the weak beam of Olin's flashlight. The cemetery stretched endlessly, now tombstones shifting like teeth in the dark. They reached the stone circle. The air was colder here, heavy with the smell of decay. In the center, a cracked stone slab lay over a pit. Strange markings glowed faintly across its surface, ancient, almost alive. Maria knelt and touched one of the carvings. Her breath quickened. This isn't Latin, she whispered. It's older. Olin swallowed hard. What does it say? Asterisk, she traced her finger over the symbols. It says, return what was taken, or become what you buried. Asterisk Mahi took a step back. I don't like that. Asterisk, before Olin could respond, the ground trembled again. From the darkness beyond the circle, dozens of figures emerged, bodies covered in soil, eyes burning faintly with white light. They moved silently, like memories walking on bones. Asterisk Mahi, shouted Olin. They're coming. Asterisk Olin grabbed Maria's hand. What do we do? Asterisk, she closed her eyes. Let me try. Maria placed her palms flat on the stone slab and began to whisper words in a language no one understood. Her voice echoed across the graveyard, soft and mournful. Asterisk, the markings began to glow brighter. The ground pulsed beneath them. The air filled with low human moans. Asterisk Olin and Mahi stood beside her, watching as the spirits slowed their movement. Some turned their faces upward, as though listening. Asterisk, but then a single voice rose from the pit. A man's voice, broken, angry. Asterisk, you left us to die. Asterisk Maria's eyes flew open. Olin, they're not forgiving. They're remembering. Asterisk, the spirits surged forward, their forms twisting into black smoke. The wind screamed. The stone cracked in two. Asterisk Cole stumbled into the circle, clutching a cross. Finish it, child. Asterisk, Maria's voice broke. I can't. They won't. Asterisk, Olin grabbed her shoulders. Maria, you said you were one of them. Maybe they'll listen to you. Asterisk, tears streamed down her cheeks. Then I have to stay. Asterisk, Olin's voice shook. No. Asterisk, she smiled faintly. Tell them our story. Don't let them be forgotten. Asterisk, before he could stop her, Maria pressed both hands to the ground. The light flared, blinding white. The earth roared. Asterisk, the last thing Olin saw was Maria's face, calm, glowing before the light swallowed her. When Olin opened his eyes, dawn had come. Asterisk, the cemetery was still. The fog had lifted. The graves were silent again. Asterisk Mahi lay nearby, coughing, covered in dust. Reverend Cole was gone. Asterisk Olin stumbled toward the stone circle. The slab had sealed itself once more. The markings were dark. And in the center, where Maria had stood, a single white flower had grown through the cracks. He fell to his knees. Mahi limped beside him, voice hoarse. Is she? Asterisk Olin nodded slowly. She's with them now. A cold breeze brushed his face, carrying a whisper soft, familiar. Thank you. Asterisk, Olin looked up. For just a moment, he saw her standing among the graves, smiling. Then she was gone. The dead had remembered, and they were finally at peace. Whispers Beneath the Soil, Part 5. The Final Dig, Asterisk, Approx. 3,000 words, the sun rose pale over Gray Hill, casting long shadows across the cemetery. Asterisk, for the first time in days, the air was quiet, no whispers, no movement beneath the ground. Asterisk, but Olin knew the silence wasn't peace. It was waiting. Asterisk, he stood at the edge of the stone circle, staring at the cracked earth where Maria had vanished. Asterisk, the flower that had bloomed there white as bone was already wilting. Asterisk, beside him, Mahi sat on a fallen headstone, exhausted, his eyes hollow. Asterisk, you saw her too, didn't you? Mahi said softly. Olin nodded. Yeah, just before the light faded. Asterisk, he swallowed hard. She wasn't scared, not even at the end. Mahi looked toward the graveyard gates. We should leave, Olin. Whatever this is, it's over. She did what needed to be done. Asterisk, but Olin didn't move. His fingers brushed the dirt beside the slab. Asterisk, no, it's not over. Look, he pointed toward the soil. Faint cracks pulsed under the earth-like veins, glowing dimly red. Asterisk, a deep, rhythmic sound followed thump. Thump. Thump like a heartbeat buried beneath the ground. Asterisk, Mahi stood up. No, no, man. Don't tell me, asterisk, Olin whispered. They're waking again. 1. The warning, asterisk, by noon. They had made it back to the old caretaker's cottage. The front door hung off its hinges, asterisk inside. Everything was overturned, books scattered. Candles melted into black puddles. Reverend Cole was nowhere to be found. Olin searched through the mess until he found an old chest behind the altar. Asterisk inside were yellowed papers, a leather-bound Bible, and a photograph, faded but clear enough to make his blood run cold. Asterisk, it was a picture of Cole, younger, standing beside a grave with 2 other men. Asterisk, and behind them, a wooden sign read, Gray Hill Grounds, -1832. But the face of the man in the middle, the one holding a shovel, was Olin. He stumbled backward. The photograph slipped from his hand. Asterisk, Mahi caught it, frowning. What the? This can't be real. You weren't even, asterisk. Olin's voice was faint. I've seen this place before. In dreams. The fog. The pit. He pressed a trembling hand to his temple. I think Maria was right. We've been here before. We did this. 2. The revelation, asterisk, as night fell. The fog rolled in again. Asterisk, Olin and Mahi lit a fire inside the chapel. The flames trembling against the cold. Asterisk, Olin read through Cole's papers, his voice low and strained. Asterisk, these writings. Their confessions. He said the curse wasn't just on the dead, it was on the ones who buried them alive. Asterisk, Mahi looked up sharply. You mean us? Olin nodded slowly. Those who sealed the innocent beneath the earth will walk again in flesh, until their debt is paid. That's what it says. Asterisk, Mahi's hands shook. You're saying we're reincarnations of the people who did this? Asterisk, Olin's voice cracked. We didn't come here to film a story. Mahi, we came here because the story called us back. Asterisk, outside, the wind began to howl low. Like a human cry, the chapel door creaked open by itself, and from the darkness beyond, a figure stepped forward. Reverend Cole. But his skin was gray now. His eyes, black pits, asterisk, you woke them, he rasped. And now, you must finish what began. Asterisk, Olin rose, gripping the flashlight. Cole, what are you? Asterisk, Cole smiled weakly, his teeth yellowed. A keeper, bound to watch, to wait. I was the first to bury the man, the last to die. Asterisk, he pointed toward the stone circle outside. The final dig will decide whether the dead rest or rise. 3. The dig, asterisk, they followed him through the fog, their footsteps crunching over the frost-hardened grass. Asterisk, when they reached the stone circle. The ground was trembling. The air stank of rot and soil. Cole handed Olin a rusted shovel. Asterisk, dig where the light fell, he said. Asterisk, Olin hesitated. Why? Asterisk, to find what was taken. Asterisk, he looked down at the shovel, his hands shaking. The heartbeat beneath the ground was louder now. Thump, thump. Asterisk, he began to dig. Each thrust of the shovel broke the earth open, revealing black soil that smelled of iron and decay. Asterisk, Mahi stood guard, glancing at the shadows. Shapes moved within them, tall, thin silhouettes that whispered as they passed. Asterisk, after several minutes, the shovel struck something solid. Asterisk, Olin dropped to his knees. Brushing the dirt away, it wasn't a coffin. It was a mirror. Asterisk, its surface was cracked and clouded. Buried face, up beneath the soil. Asterisk, Cole's voice shook. The mirror of guilt. The priest used it to bind their souls. to make them relive their deaths forever. Olin touched the glass and froze. Asterisk. For the mirror's truth, the world shifted around him. He was no longer in the cemetery. He stood in the same place, but it was 1832. The air was hot, filled with the smell of smoke and death. The town of Gray Hill burned in the distance. Asterisk, and beside him stood Mahir, a man who looked like him, dressed in an old worker's coat, in his hands shovel. Olin, the man said, his voice echoing. They're still breathing. We can't, orders are orders, Olin heard himself say. But it wasn't his voice. It was deeper, harder. Cruel. Asterisk. They stood at the edge of a pit. Dozens of people inside, men, women, children, begging for air. Asterisk and the priest. Reverend Cole, young and fierce, raised a hand. Asterisk, seal the ground. Cleanse this place. The two men obeyed. They shoveled earth over the screaming faces, one layer at a time. Asterisk. Olin dropped the shovel. Stop, he cried. Please, stop. But his hands kept moving. When the last cry faded, silence fell. And in that silence, a woman's voice whispered from below. Why did you bury us, Olin? Asterisk. He turned. Dan saw Maria, her face pale beneath the dirt. Then the vision shattered. 5. The choice. Olin gasped and fell backward. The mirror's glass had turned black. Asterisk. Cole knelt beside him. Now you see what you've done. Asterisk. Olin's voice shook. Then let me fix it. Asterisk. Cole nodded. There is one way. A life for a life. Blood for peace. Asterisk. Mahi stepped forward. No, there's gotta be another way. Asterisk. The ground cracked open, revealing the glowing pit beneath. Asterisk. From within, ghostly hands reached upward, clawing for release. Asterisk. Among them, Maria's face. Calm, watching. Asterisk. She whispered. Let them rest. Olin, end this. Asterisk. Olin's tears fell into the soil. He gripped the shovel one last time and drove it deep into the mirror's surface. Asterisk. It shattered. Light bursting outward like a silent explosion. The spirit screamed, then quieted. The glow faded. Asterisk. And one by one, the hands sank back into the earth. Cole collapsed to his knees, his body turning to dust. Finally, he murmured, Peace. The fog lifted. The dawn light broke through the clouds, washing over the graves. Olin dropped the shovel, trembling. Mahi grabbed his arm. Olin, you did it. It's over. Asterisk. But Olin didn't answer. He looked down at his hands, covered in blood. Mahi's voice broke. Olin, what did you do? Olin smiled faintly, his eyes already fading to gray. A life for a life. Asterisk. He looked toward the horizon where Maria's spirit stood. Waiting. Asterisk. Tell our story, Mahi. And then he was gone. 6. Epilogue. 1 year later, Gray Hill Cemetery is silent now. Asterisk. The gates are locked. The chapel has collapsed. Asterisk. Mahi stood outside the fence. Holding a camera, Asterisk, he placed a single white flower by the gate and whispered, For them. Then he turned and walked away. Later that night, he uploaded the final documentary. He titled it, Whispers Beneath the Soil, The True Story of Gray Hill. Asterisk. Before turning off the light, he checked the footage one last time. Asterisk. At the end of the video, just for a second, the camera glitched. Asterisk. And behind him, in the fog, 2 faint figures appeared. Olin and Maria. Watching. Asterisk. The screen went dark.